Hey, residents of Woodburn, Oregon, I gotta let you in on a little secret. If you don't know, you're gonna know tonight. You're gonna know all about it. What is going on with the flock cameras? I'm sure a lot of you that have noticed them have got, what the hell are those things standing on the pole? Is that something to do with a bus stop? Is that for EMS? What is that? Well, let me tell you. Last year, the city of Woodburn decided they would let out a little bit of statement. It didn't say where they were going to put them or when they were going to put them up, exactly what they did. They just made a little public blurb. Now, here's the problem I have with that. If you didn't see it in the first place, which I bet 80% of you did not see that post, it wasn't on Facebook. I think maybe Statesman Journal or some other, company like that let it out. Problem is, a lot of people don't see that or read it because they don't care, they don't see it, it doesn't get talked about. But they have been put up. There's quite a few of them in the city of Woodburn, if you haven't noticed already. A lot of people have seen them, but they have no idea what they are, nor do they care. But we got to get into this. There's a bunch of different things you need to know about these flock cameras, better known as an LPR, license plate reading cameras. We've had this technology for a long time, folks. Salem PD used to use this technology. They would mount these units on top of their Tahoes, and they would drive around and read license plates all day. This system was called LoJack. It's nothing new. The system that's being used in Woodburn is basically kind of a trial. I'm going to call it a trial system. And why Woodburn got involved, a small rural community got involved in that, don't know. You guys paid for it, so maybe you should inquire. Anyways, let's get to it. So these cameras, they're meant to read license plates, okay? There's a few different problems I have with this. You've got a big different category what these cameras can do and what they should be doing. Now, I'm not saying all the cameras in Woodburn are the same ones, the exact same spec, and they all do the same things. But something that these cameras also do is have live camera feeds. So you can obviously watch from the PD or from whoever's got the login, hence Woodburn Police. They can watch these cameras constantly. It's not just the license plate camera that clicks every time a car goes by. These can be into a live feed that they can watch. So let's say they're looking for somebody. Let's say they're looking for a gray Honda. No, let's check the street. Let's check that camera. There's a gray Honda just went by 4 minutes ago. Oh, they say our guy's on their side of town. Let's go over there. They do that. Some of these cameras have facial recognition. Now, they did release a statement to say these cameras won't be used for facial recognition, even though these cameras might have it built in, which I'm sure they do. Something else that these cameras do have, not saying that these specific models in Woodburn have it, but they have a parabolic microphone. So that means they have audio. In doing so, they can pick up sound. A big thing that they use for that is to triangulate gunshots. Now, triangulation, hence the word triangle, 3 points, uses 3 different heads at one time. Let's say that they need triangulation to get a gunshot, or they don't need it. They can pick up a gunshot at one location and say it was within so many yards of this camera that picked it up. Well, like I said, I'm not trying to get you all worried, but these cameras do have an audio pickup in them. Some of them do. Another thing that's a little bit invasive is the ability to recognize certain vehicles. Let's say you have a 10-year-old F-150. You drive it every day. 2 years ago, you hit a deer and it kind of mangled the front of the F-150. So the left side of it or the right side of it's got a headlight bucket that's not quite right. It's got a wrinkle in the finger. That camera can pick up that body damage in that rig and store it. So you drive that vehicle past that camera every day. It doesn't read it by the license plate necessarily. It recognizes it because of the actual body damage in that vehicle. Let's say you're a plumber and you've got an F-350 van, no windows in, just got a plumbing name on the side. You've got 1 ladder and 2 PVC pipes on the top. That camera can pick up on that van and separate it from the rest because it's got that ladder on the left side and those 2 pieces of pipe on the right. There's none other like that on town that drive around. That is a little bit worrisome. Now, the thing that I want to get into is what a lot of people don't like about these cameras. Now, folks, like I said, a trial. This is more or less a trial setup they've got in Woodburn. And I want to tell you, when they did release and talk a little bit about this in December, which I'm sure they didn't want to make a big deal about it because, I mean, they have to release something that's public notice. They talked about it in December. They didn't say where they were going to put them. They didn't say exactly what the specifications to these cameras were, or I think the placement on these is the biggest thing, and we'll get into that here in a second. But like I'm talking about, when they did release it, Woodburn Police stated an actual statement, and they said, we will not use these for facial recognition. Well, they don't need facial recognition. These cameras can pick up how a guy walks. Obviously, if they're wearing something, they're looking for a suspect, and they've got a black hoodie and bluish jeans, there he is right there. And that's all part of watching that live feed. Now, let's get into the big one. Back east, a lot of small municipalities and bigger ones have adopted these camera systems and started to use them quite a while ago. Some of these cameras were put up, and they were put up in a manner where they were in commercial zones. Now, what I mean by a commercial zone is they were put up in a place that's high traffic, like a main highway, or a zone that's obviously commercial, that's got storefronts, Walmart, Safeway, Winco, Costco, all these big intersections where tons of cars come through. Necessarily people that don't even live in the city come through there. I understand putting them up in a commercial. I think that's your best bang for your buck, getting somebody with a stolen rig, stolen license plates, or a vehicle that you're trying to pick up. Best way to do it, commercial areas. Now, out of the 24 cameras that are set up in the city of Woodburn, and I said 24, they've got some of these in commercial settings, and then they've got some of them looking into residential. Now, I can understand, folks. Let's say this side of the table right here is commercial, and this side of the table is residential. You have the camera set up in commercial, and you're looking into commercial through residential. Okay, I can understand that. That's a little bit different. That's not full commercial or full residential, but it captures both at the same time. Some of these cameras in the city of Woodburn, folks, are in full residential, within several hundred yards of in commercial, non-commercial, residential land. Now, like I talked about, there's been lots of lawsuits, and some municipalities weren't smart enough to actually release the information that these cameras were going to be put up. And the public went crazy and actually made them take them down. I'm not saying that's going to happen in the city of Woodburn, but I honestly think 80% of people in that city, Woodburn, don't even know those cameras there. And the ones that do, don't even know what they're for. Now, these cameras aren't hardwired. These are standalone units that are put in the ground, about the same size as a stop sign pole, and they go up about 10 feet. They're solar powered. They don't need any cords. They don't need any updating. They just sit there and charge all day and work all night. The camera footage at night is surprisingly really good in a camera that's this big. So the next time you go out and about in the city of Woodburn, folks, look around for these. They're on a black pole, but go figure, black. Something I want you to think about. Every city and town you've been into, the stop signs, the warning signs, speed limit, what color is the actual conduit, whether it's corrugated, whether it's round, whether it's 2-inch or 1-inch, they're usually all galvanized and they're bright. You can see them from a mile away. Folks, all these camera poles, they're all black. Everything on the damn thing is black, 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 from top to bottom. So you won't notice them. Probably want it that way. Not such a bad idea. But think about the actual placement of these cameras. If you've got some of these cameras that are in full residential, that means they're looking across a roadway, looking down a roadway, and half the time they're going to be looking at somebody's house, right in their window, whether it's in the back window, at the front door. That might be a little bit invasive. And a lot of these lawsuits, folks, that have been based, that was the actual starting of their lawsuit, is because they're looking at someone's private residence. I don't necessarily think a camera should be looking at someone's house, even though it's trying to catch broadside at a 45-degree angle, cars coming and going. If the person in that house knew exactly what those cameras were for, and they just obviously didn't really live in a high crime area, they would probably have a problem with that. Remember when Google Earth came out years and years ago, and the Street View was there? People would get on there, and the first thing they would do is type in their address and look it up, and they go, oh my God, there's a picture of me standing in the front yard watering the plants. Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and sue Google. So that went on for years and years. And you know what? These cameras do the same thing, only obviously you're not going to get public access to these cameras. There was something released in the actual news statement, folks, and it said something about the public being able to log into those cameras and actually watch them or look at them. Yeah, we'll see about that. When Woodburn PD decided to go in and actually put these cameras up with the city of Woodburn, yeah, believe me, they weren't looking to have trip cameras all over the city of Woodburn. Like the ODOT camera that you log into up at Mount Hood to see if the pass is clear. Yeah, they never intended for the public to use them as far as that. They may have said that, but guaranteed. Go ahead and show me the login. Have somebody that's actually not with the municipality watching those cameras. I'd love to see that. Anyways, let's think about the placement, folks. And you know what? Something else to think about. The city of Woodburn, in the last few years, so many things have changed in that town. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but to the normal person, I guarantee you they haven't been watching that town closely. And even when I was back there living, we lived there all the way from 93 to just a few years ago, before it really started changing, just about the time Amazon said they were coming to town. There's a lot of things that happen in that town that never get talked about, and that's just the way they want it. Believe me. Let me tell you something else. So the city of Woodburn in 2014 decided that they were going to be standalone and put this system online. It's called the Kenwood NextEdge system. It's a shortwave radio system. At the time, they were the only, and I mean only, municipality in the city of Woodburn was to use this system, and still are. There's nobody here in Oregon that uses the NextEdge system for public safety or transit, whatever it is. So they kind of went on a limb when they did that. Why did they have that system? Why did they go and get a system that wasn't very good, try to put it online? They fought with it for a couple of years. And then, obviously, before that, you know, they put the traffic cameras in right there at Newburgh Highway 99. They've been updated and obviously been knocked over and hit a million times, which is poor placement. But anyway, we'll get into that some other video. But like I said, the city of Woodburn is constantly changing. There's always things going on in that town. It's not the same town as it used to be, even 5-6 years ago. There's so many people coming through that town, I have no idea. Not saying anything bad, like I said, that town is changing, and the people that used to live there don't want anything to do with it anymore. So the next time you go out and leave the house, take a look around, folks. Start looking at these cameras. Now, I've only seen about 5 or 6 of these, just, you know, not even looking for them, just driving around, being vigilant, and seeing these black pole cameras. If you see them, just make a mental note. Look at the actual camera itself. It's not very big. It's about that big. See where it's pointing, and see what they're looking at. Obviously, they're looking at the road, because license plates aren't going to be driving through people's front yards, at least on a straightaway in the daylight hours without alcohol. So anyway, folks, it's all about being educated. It's all about the public being informed. Let me tell you something else. If you don't know what to call something or how to find out what it's called, how would you type it into the internet to find out about it? What do you call those cameras? I guarantee you 90% of the people there in the city of Woodburn have no idea what they're called, what they're doing, and how to even research exactly what they are and what they do and why they're there. So if you don't know what to call them, and you don't know exactly how to look them up or find public information about them, then obviously nothing really gets done. This is all part of being secretive. They made a statement, like I just talked about earlier in the video, when they first came out, but they didn't go out of their way to go and inform the whole city of Woodburn about it. Like I said, be vigilant. Take a look around, see where these things are pointing. Educate yourself on exactly what these things do. And if you have a problem with it, call the city of Woodburn and inquire about it. Only thing you can do is ask and be nice to them. Call them up on a city schedule, 8 to 5, and inquire about it. All they can do is say no. Hang up the phone on you. Hey, until next time, if you've got any questions or comments, please leave me something. I'd love to educate you on what's going on up there. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.